Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome today to my full review of the latest release from Singaporean micro brand RZE. Perhaps you've heard of the brand, you certainly have if you're a regular on this channel. This is the fourth watch that I've reviewed now from them. The fourth watch since they launched in September 2020. Now that's 4 pieces in less than a year and a half. Normally that would raise red flags with me, the alarm bells would be ringing. I would be wondering how researched these models were or if they were just throwing them out to market willy-nilly. In RZE's case though, I just don't worry at all. All 3 previous watches that I looked at were really very good and very reasonably priced. I have noticed a recurring theme with the names though. The first watch they released was a no-nonsense tool watch called the Resolute. The second watch was a no-nonsense titanium diver called the Endeavour. The third piece in the middle of this year was a no-nonsense titanium chronograph called the Valor. And this one is a no-nonsense titanium pilot's watch called the Fortitude. Clearly then the brand owner is reminding us all that these are no-nonsense titanium 2 watches using a selection of manly monikers. I guess Daisy, Pansy, Lily and Petunia just wouldn't work as watch names, would they? So then this Fortitude is their 4th watch and it's a pilot's watch. It doesn't quite fit visually with all of the other ones. It looks a little bit out of canon, if you will, which is a surprise because if anything, it should be what the brand is all about. The brand owner, Travis, is an airline pilot. Surely then he should know what makes a decent pilot's watch. So is it any good? Well, there's one part of this watch that is as good as the same part on any watch I've reviewed at any price. There are other parts of this watch, perhaps not quite so good, and I'm getting a little bit worried about the price of this one. It's an NH35. We all know the price of NH35s is creeping north, but has it become a luxury movement therefore? Lots to talk about today. Let's flip the camera and do just that. Alright, let's get into it. Now forgive me, I got so carried away laughing at my own stupidity in the introduction there that I forgot to say this video is sponsored by RZE watches. So what are we dealing with? Well, pilot's watch as mentioned. Not a chrono, so don't think Breitling Navitimer or Citizen Blue Angel. Think Oris Big Crown Pro Pilot. It certainly has a big crown, more on that later. 2-year warranty, scan to register, no paper here, but they do it properly. Thanks buddy, a little thank you note from Travis at RZE, thanking you for your purchase. There's a sticker in there reminding you that you have bought a tough titanium tool watch and a branded polishing cloth as well, and a screwdriver to sort out the bracelet. Being an RZE and made of titanium therefore, it is tough as advertised. It's also very light and super comfortable as a consequence. It does have another couple of technical tricks up its sleeve which I will discuss later on, and it has a very deceptive set of dimensions. This is a 41, so 41 mil in diameter, but honestly it wears more like a 39, certainly no bigger than a 40, doesn't really look any bigger than a 40 either. 12.8 mil thick, 47.5 mil lug to lug, 20mm lug width. Now check the taper on that bracelet. That is 20 all the way down to 16, back up to 18 therefore at the clasp, and it's one of those glorious clasps, just my favourites. Sized up for me, 7-inch wrist, 114 grams. Not perhaps as light as some of their others. The Endeavour I remember was bang on 99 grams when it was sized up for me. This one a little chunkier because it is that extra mil wider. But as I said, I don't think it looks it. Which of these two do you think is the larger watch? For my money, visually, it's the Oris, which is only a 40. The RZE carries that extra millimetre rather well, I think. I'll bring the Oris back in a bit later on though. And it is rather nicely finished considering it's a titanium watch. Titanium people don't often get the finish right, but this is RZE's 4th attempt, so I guess they've had a bit of practice by now, and this is all coated with their signature Ultra Hex coating. Now previous models, it has had a kind of bead blasted finish. They haven't gone for that, they've gone for a satin brush finish. You can barely tell there's any coating on this one at all. Looks really good. All brushed throughout, no polished surfaces on here, and I do like that turbine bezel, machining all very nice and neat, fixed bezel of course. Flat sapphire crystal with anti-reflective undercoating. That is a screw down crown with 100 meters of water resistance. The crown. This is my favourite part of this watch, and I think it is the best crown I have ever operated on any watch at any price. It is just glorious. It is big and it's easy to grip, but it doesn't dig into the back of your hand because at 114 grams the watch is light. Check this action. It is just fantastic. Unscrew. Oh, what a pop, a really pronounced pop, and you've got that glorious little red tube here, meaning you know if you haven't screwed it in fully. There you are, you can see the red tube, you know that it isn't going to be fully water resistant, but that is just fantastic. One pull to adjust the date, second pull to hack the movement, you're back in again, and it screws, it threads down so sweetly as well. That is an absolute joy to operate. The best ever, I reckon. And the bracelet is very pleasant as well, so smooth to the touch, helped by that ultra hex coating. Nice bit of flexibility in here, 3-link style, female end links, only 47.5mm lug to lug as noted, but it's going to sit really well on wrist, and that is pretty much my favourite clasp. The RZE logo etched into the fold over, double security pusher. It is milled upper and lower, 6 holes of micro adjust, and these are screw links. I had no problem adjusting it to fit me either, which is always a bit hit or miss with titanium. Screw on titanium case back. Not sterile, but not far off. RZE logo there, and they have etched a little spec sheet around there with sapphire crystal, 100 meters, NH35 ultra hex titanium, and they're going to be individually signing these out of 500, 4 different colors. I'm going to talk about the colors and the prices towards the back end of the video. Make sure you stay tuned for that. There we are, that's an NH35 doing what NH35s do best. Stated tolerances on these are -15 to +25 a day, but most of them come in between 0 and +10 in my experience. Reasonable amplitude, and yeah, beat error is okay. This is a proto as noted. It's been around the world a couple of times already. That is still a pretty representative set of figures though. 21,600 vibrations per hour, so it's a 3 Hz movement, 6 ticks of the second hand per second, 24 joule hacking and hand winding bidirectional winding auto. We know these movements, we love these movements, but they are in short supply at the moment and are more expensive as a consequence. Again, more on that later. Alright, let's get the old macro lens out then and have a look at this one outside. Now, as much as I said it wasn't really Canon, there are elements from all 3 of their previous watches. It has that granular dial texture, just like the Resolute and the Endeavour, and it has a similar pattern of indices to the Valor. But this one is a sandwich dial, so those big beaver's teeth, the double index up there at 12 is recessed, as are all the single batons of the hour markers. Little truncated recessed indicator down there at the 6 o'clock, making way for a porthole date complication. More on that later. Dial is just printed, RZE logo beneath the beaver's teeth. It's a sector dial as well, kind of crosshairs in white. Automatic 100 meters / 330 feet printed above the porthole date complication. Now there is an angled chapter ring here in black. I think that also helps shrink this watch down a little bit. That one has printed triangle at 12 and printed 5-minute markers. You'll see on the inner section of the dial, rather than hour markers, there's the 24-hour indicators, so 13 round to 23. There's a printed minute track in white and 1/5 of a minute markers as well. 4 colours of this watch are available. This is the teal green one, though it's quite a dark green to be honest to be considered teal. There is a grey, there's a black with white hands, and there's a white with black hands. The white with black hands is a full lume dial with negative lume effect, if you see what I mean. I'll show you the lume on this one in just a second. And there we are, that's a super close look at the texture on the dial and the handset. I do like the handset here, kind of diamond arrow type hour hand, simple fence post minute hand in white, and a nice slender needle hand also in white. They are nicely legible against the dial, as you'll see when I've got it on wrist later on. Black center sections, yeah, it's not really as effective on this dial because it's green as it would be on the black version. And the lume, as noted, this is a pre-production prototype, BGW9 sandwich dial. I'm always expecting more from sandwich dials as well, because there's a whole layer of dial that is, or at least has the potential to be turned over to lume. But when I turn the speed up on this one, the dial fades pretty quickly, to be honest. The hands do okay for themselves, but yeah, the lume is alright if unspectacular. I'd imagine it will be better for production units. It's certainly far better on the Valor that I've got in my collection. But let's get it on wrist because it really does wear so nicely, this one. There's a bit of curvature from the mid case pointing downwards, and those lugs are nicely sculpted as well. 47.5 as noted, which is fairly compact. It feels even more compact than that, especially when combined with that inverted mid-link and the tapered bracelet. Now I should point out the clasp is actually made of stainless steel. I guess that helps balance out the weight. It's a problem making milled clasps out of titanium anyway, so I'm not complaining. And as noted, it's a big crown, but because it's so light, it doesn't slip around. Even if you wear it loose, it doesn't dig into the back of the hand or causing any discomfort. And as you can see, fantastic legibility from the overhead shot. That's what you want from a pilot's watch for sure, and this watch has legibility in spades thanks to those nice big white hands against the dark dial. I don't imagine that any of the other colorways are going to be any less legible than this one. And that's it outside on a particularly wet and miserable day here today in Sydney. It's been raining for what seems like a fortnight. Woe is me. Yeah, it looks like a good watch, this one. It feels like a good watch. You can feel and see the quality. Plenty of anti-reflective undercoating. It's still perfectly legible outside, and it's a pleasant effect on the dial. Not too much grainage, not too much fade. It looks pretty good overall, I think. On wrist, as discussed, wears very well indeed. Nicely balanced, nicely proportioned, nice curvature to the mid case, nice taper from the bracelet. Looks a little bit smaller than it is and wears quite a bit smaller than it is. But as discussed, I do have a couple of moans and niggles with this one, starting with the date complication. Looks good under macro, and clearly they've put plenty of effort into this one. Colour match date wheel, which is not easy on a green dial, and there's a couple of different layers as you work your way down to the complication from the dial. Being a sandwich dial, there's always that extra bit of depth. However, assuming you don't have macro lenses for eyes, I reckon it is next to useless. It is one of the most useless date complications I've encountered on any watch. It's just too damn small. Perhaps they should have put one of those internal cyclops on there. I've seen it on Tissot's and a couple of other things. That might have helped, but yeah, you're not really going to get an at-a-glance read from that, are you? Let me bring back in my Oris, which has similarly gone for a date down there at the 6 o'clock. It is so much more legible than it is on the Fortitude. The bracelet, as noted, is very nice, smooth, comfortable, plenty of articulation, good screws and a nice clasp, but it doesn't really look like it was designed for this watch. That end-link integration is all over the place. There's just no real attempt to get one line to match up with the other line. The mid-link sticks out beyond the edge of those lugs. The ends of the lugs are flat, whereas this is rounded. Yeah, it just doesn't look like it belongs in this watch, because it probably doesn't belong on this watch. And then there's the price. I'm not suggesting this watch is enormously or ridiculously overpriced, but it is more expensive, notably more expensive than any and all of their previous models. The Resolute, for example, their debut model on Kickstarter, end of 2020, that one coming in on a canvas strap admittedly for less than $300. The Endeavour, full titanium dive watch with an NH35 and great lume, no Kickstarter this time, orders from their website, $359. Then there was the Valor Chrono Seiko Mecha Quartz from earlier on this year, on the bracelet with the coating, including a rubber strap, $399. You can see where these prices are going, can't you? And today's watch, the Fortitude. This one is launching next month, December 2022. Early bird specials, if you sign up for them, are $459. There's 250 slots at that price. I believe they're all gone though, so you're probably going to be paying $499 for this. If you're buying it in January, it goes up to $599. So if you manage to get on the early bird specials on that mailing list at $459, I still think there's value here. It's nicely made, it looks good, it's got that scratch proof coating on it, it wears very well indeed, and it has a far higher degree of anti-magnetism built in than you would normally expect from your average watch, but it is only powered by a Seiko NH35. If you missed that early bird deal and you're paying $499, that's still okay. If you're watching this one in January and the price is $599, oh, that is a little bit of a sting, especially when last year they were selling their dive model for only $399 with a broadly similar set of specifications. As discussed, I know NH35s have gone up, and I can't criticize RZE for wanting to turn a profit by selling their watches, but you know, I'm obviously going to talk about price because that's what I do here, and I've watched their prices creep up model by model by model. I guess it's not up to me, it's up to you. It's up to the market to decide how much people are prepared to pay for these, or when the price becomes prohibitive and people start looking around at the alternatives instead. So there you have it, you've made it, you've got to the back end of the video. You're clearly a fan of RZE, I don't blame you, so am I. Why not check out two of their other models, the Valor and the Endeavour. Thanks for watching, I'll see you all soon.